Aussie Adam. How is life in Australia?
Yeah, it's good, mate. Pretty warm at the moment, bushfires and all, but yeah, she's hot and steaming and yeah, ready for another late night of Premier League.
Yeah, I mean it's hot, it's steaming, it's almost as hot as Everton are with a relatively threadbare squad with a fit Michael Keane and Harrison Armstrong coming back on recall and going to be on our bench tonight. So a little bit interesting. Welcome to those in the Liverpool area. Welcome to those in the UK, Europe more broadly, maybe the Americas. Who knows? Welcome to everyone. Anyway, this is Follow Everton. You've got an all-Australian cast this evening or this afternoon. Again, time zone dependent. But we welcome everyone. So welcome to Mr. Blue Skies, Ginter Garage, Crispy. There's a lot of happiness here at the moment. I think we're generally speaking right in a pretty good position. We were just talking just before this, and we'll put the live stand-ins going on as well. We're in a relatively good position for once, Adam, coming into this new into the new year, which is kind of unique for us. I'm used to us being desperately near the bottom. We just saw how Wolves surprised West Ham and are giving them a bit of a scare. So we're in a relatively nice and calm position. Of course, every 3 points matter. We're coming up against a Brentford side that are pretty well put together. Have you gotten to see much of them this year?
Well, they're obviously their main striker, Thiago and Schade as well. They're doing quite well. With the Brazilian, the German, but yeah, they're a team that on the day can definitely hurt us with pace, the turnovers. They're really quick in possession. We've just got to be really, really careful of that. But to be honest, Chris, like our defensive partnership and defensively, like I think last week, I think Everton were the only team that kept a clean sheet. So I'm actually seeing a bit of consistency from Everton, even with the Burnley game as well. I mean, now the fact that was away, but we still got out of there with a 0-0 with the clean sheet. Obviously wasn't great. We probably should have at least scored a couple of goals. We were lucky, but we had a very, very threadbare squad. So as you were just mentioning before, Harrison Armstrong coming back into the fold. Yep. Just having a bit more squad depth would be really, really appreciate. Like it'd be really welcoming to have, because the way Harrison Armstrong plays, he's very forward thinking. He's going to be on the front foot. He's going to have a bit of a point to prove. But in David Moyes' press conference, he was mentioning that potentially Harrison's going to get a bit of a showing. And depending how he goes, if he does really well, he might stay. But he actually kind of wants him to go back to Preston. So I think they were potentially looking to get promotion. So so he might potentially be going back, but we'll see how he plays and if he gets a bit of a chance in this midfield. But if you get the likes of Kieran Gisby Hall coming back, got Alcaraz in there, and just kind of Gay when he comes back from AFCON, where is he actually going to get a chance to play? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's one of those, I forget exactly the details on this, and it may be contract to contract, but if you have, depending on if it's a full year versus a sort of 6 month or half season loan, I think there's a cost of a recall requirement. So I'm curious to what impact that has. I think all things considered quite marginal compared to if you lose matches due to lack of squad depth for a couple of matches before you send them back, you'd take it. But
I haven't heard that. Yeah, I haven't heard there's been any financial repercussions from getting a recall. I don't think Everton are in any position that it's going to cost us anything to recall them back from the loan. But it does sound like if we've got our numbers back, we've got just kind of Gay back, and we've got Kieran Gisby Hall and a little bit more of our squad back. Potentially he'll go back to Preston, but I'm really, really excited to see him. I think in the I think it was like the Mansfield game at the start of the season in pre-season, it looked like he was actually it looked really impressive, and especially on the front foot, he looked very creative. But he also could be that box-to-box midfielder as well.
You love your box-to-box, Adam.
Yeah, love the box-to-box. Yeah. But defensively, like Tim and you got just kind of Gay. Like those two are, Tim. Tim, I've been very, very impressed with defensively. He's been solid. and he's looking like potentially a little bit of a replacement for just on a Gay. He's probably got a couple of years left in him, I would say, but I have definitely been.
At some point, we keep bringing him back, but at some point we have to pass on the torch, and sustainably, you'd rather move him before he's that fatigue and the age and that adaptability maybe gets to him. So I'll take a opportunity here to show the last comment that I think leads us into a really good segue for the starting lineups today. So Mr. Blue Sky says, I'm concerned that Keane won't be fully fit. Spoilers here. He's part of the starting lineup. He wasn't fit against Newcastle and had an awful game against him. So with that being the case,
a little bit scared because
lineups.
Bit scared because he's in my fantasy and I put him in, but we'll see how we go.
Well, you know what? At least he's starting, Adam. So
yeah, he is starting.
Keane, arms fisted with pride and glory. So do you want to go through the lineup, or should I talk to you and you react as we go along?
Yeah, do that. Let's do that.
All right. In goals, we have Jordan Pickford. Hey!
Yay!
Jake O'Brien. Hey!
Yay!
Jacob Tarkov. Oh, sorry. Why am I forgetting Tarkovsky's first name?
James
Tarkovsky. It is James Tarkovsky.
Yay!
Hey! Michael Keane. Ooh.
Yay!
So, Michael Keane, you worried about him coming in with a bit of an injury and a niggle?
Look, I think if he's got the injury niggle, he has been out for I think he's missed a couple of games over the last 4 to 5 weeks. But I would say that if he's playing and he's starting and Moyes has put him in, like I can't question it. Like they've obviously got more of a know than we do. Like we've got no idea how he's feeling and mentally and physically. So if he's starting, then I'll back it.
Yeah, well, the one.
I mean, this whole season, Keno's been solid defensively, and
absolutely.
He's given us quite a few goals. He's been really good in the on set pieces as well. So, I'm all for it. It's all good.
Yeah, and before we go into the Brentford lineup as well, we think about the squad that they had last year and how it's still good, but it lacks that cutting edge pace that they had last year through Johan Wissa, who of course went to Newcastle, and Brian Mbeumo, currently at AFCON, but at Man United. Those kind of players would have given Michael Keane a bit more of a headache than the current. I mean, Kevin Schade is fantastic.
Schade is definitely some of them, but Schade is definitely one we've got to watch out for, and the likes of Damsgaard and Jensen as well is those types of players that can really probably open us up. We've just got to stop them from. Basically, I mean, they can pass around in their defensive half and stuff, but as soon as they get into that built-up play, it's really, really important that obviously we've got the likes of Tim and James Garner. James Garner has been phenomenal this season. But the pair of those two guys putting a bit of a screen in front of the back four in a game like this would be quite crucial to stop those passing lanes from Brentford when they're trying to win in their build-up play. And particularly, I've actually really been liking is all the second ball wins as well that we've been getting. We've really been trying to put a foot in on teams and all teams that we've been playing, to be fair. So defensively, we've been really, really good. It's just the lack of goals that we need to try and get over. But, 2 goals against Notts Forest, and they were, putting a lot of balls into the box and a lot of crosses, and we dealt with them quite well. So I was very impressed with that.
Yeah, and I go to the comments about Armstrong because that was the original segue. So that's the main kind of curiosity or surprise here. Harrison Armstrong has been recalled back as a bench option. This is a great time to have it because, especially if you don't have Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, you don't have the wing options that you typically want due to AFCON. So we don't have an Element and Jai. We don't have a Idris Gana Gay either.
James Harrison Armstrong's essentially a bit of a box to box. He could play in the probably, to be honest, play in the 10.
The 6 or the 10.
He can play the 6 or the 10, but he's also, he's quite versatile in the midfield, and he's quite promising. But he's a bit of a fringe player at the moment, Chris. He can, if he has a few really outstanding games, he could potentially go straight into this team and be a solid rotation. And then with your likes, you know, he could potentially replace someone like Kieran Gisby Hall at, you know, 80 minutes or something like that, and give a bit of a cameo for him and see how he goes. But yeah, looking at this lineup, so we've got like Tim and Garner in the midfield there, and then obviously looks like in front of them you probably have McNeil and then Dibbling on the right, Grealish on the left, and Barry up front. So
maybe we have Dibbling. I see Dibbling in the 10 actually, which could be really interesting. Maybe Jack in the 10.
I actually think that I reckon they'll play Jack on the left and McNeil in the 10 and Dibbling on the right. That's what I personally think is what's going to happen, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if they rotate a little bit. But yeah, there's a few things to
Roll played his 90 minutes last game and now he's benched. So to be honest, I thought he needed to get more minutes. I agree with that as well. But yeah, I think he's just like the lack of that cutting edge, a little bit of that first touch, bit of composure. But yeah, it's just the lack of game time. He needs more games, and he's been injured for quite a while, so I don't blame that as well. That I get that. So Asno, I don't think he's going to get a really showing at or looking potentially.
I see James something happens jumping to left back or right back. Honestly, one of those two spots.
So, yep.
I actually could see, and this is what's interesting as well, Adam, that we don't have Charlie Alcaraz even on the bench today. So whatever, maybe it's the flu.
He's still sick or something. Yeah.
Or was it a knock? He isn't available at least. So this is actually an opportunity where I could easily see Armstrong coming in, especially if we're a goal or two ahead. You know, positive thinking. But if this would be a great opportunity to get Armstrong a couple of minutes, even as a wing option, because he has played not in the Premier League, but in our preseason matches, he has played advanced from the right before. So he might be the third wing option or the number 10, and then Merlin would drop into more of a 6 role that I think maybe he's more comfortable. I really like Merlin's physicality, but it's more the link-up play and maybe heavy-footed in the link-up play, or he's just isolated when he is in these advanced positions. That's just been a struggle, and I'd really like to see more of it. But in short, I think it's going to be interesting. I think we see Roll today, we see Armstrong, and Patterson did not play horribly. There was a couple of scary moments on the back post in the first half, but part of a team that held a clean sheet in the end. So it could be worse for us today. Shall we switch over? Do you want to talk anything more on the Everton squad before we move over to Brentford?
I think this would be another really good opportunity to see Dibbling, have a good game. I think he was pretty solid against Notts, and I think he was a little bit of a standout, to be honest, against Burnley in some of his one-on-one duels. So, and his skill was definitely there to be shown. So this would be like another 90-minute game under his belt. It'd be I do want to see a lot of crosses into the box, something similar to what the effect of like Notts did to us last week, Chris. I think Nico Williams was putting a heap of crosses in, and then they'll get onto a lot of headers, but it was actually us clearing off the line. So that's something that Barry could, Barry's very, very good in the air. He's very good at his aerial duels. So if someone like Dibbling was putting those balls into the box, I want to see Barry get onto the end of them.
Yeah, and there was a few opportunities. And the tricky part with, especially with Dibbling being maybe a component of nervous, not part of the squad fully, and honestly looking a bit passive and not taking players on, seeing that in the last 2 matches, even if it isn't always panning out, it's getting better. So we're excited to see that confidence growing in week in, week out. And I think this is the 3rd match in a row now that we're seeing a lot of minutes coming out from him. And he'll face up with the same Jake O'Brien that was with him against Burnley rather than the Patterson combination. So a really good opportunity at home now with a continued set of confidence to see that. And he did link up well. And there was a couple moments in that first half where Barry just missed getting his foot to it, or it was saved. There was a couple saves in there. So all things considered, I think the link-up play has been pretty good with him and Barry. So it's now a matter of linking in for a goal versus a goal-scoring opportunity. So we can bring up the team's news again, James, but the short of it is we don't have Charlie Alcaraz today. Jack Grealish is back in the starting lineup. On the substitute side, the interesting thing is Harrison Armstrong has come back in, but a
Oh,
relatively
sorry.
typical back four, and Michael
just
Keane's back. Yeah.
Just want to add one more thing. On Grealish, I just want to see a little bit of quality from Grealish with balls into the box, and also he tries to take on like 1 to 2 players, but he obviously doesn't use his pace to do it. He just uses his passing, his dribbling, and his ball close control, so they can try and he can try and fool him into tackling him, and then he wins the free. That's essentially what he tries to do. Is lure them in, and then create a bit of space that way. But if you get Mikalenko on the overlap, which I don't think is going to happen, it's not really his game style, is to get a whip across in from the left. I don't think that's really something we can expose. But yeah, I think to see a bit more of Jack will be like if he was at a really, really big game, this would definitely be one of them.
Yeah. Well, what we have seen, and without Kieran, it's slightly different. But there's a lot of bodies occupying let's say the left corner of the 18-yard box with Jack often cutting in. You have an overlapping run with Mikalenko there, and then sort of a what do you call it? Like a cut back to the likes of James Garner on the edge of the box looking for a pot shot. There's some opportunities there on that left-hand side potentially. The question from James being, is Keane back? Yes, he's in the starting lineup. Patterson is on the bench. But with Keane coming back, that means that O'Brien slots to right back.
Interesting still that he doesn't trust Patterson over Jake O'Brien. Obviously, so essentially, Keane comes back in. Jake O'Brien from left centre back last game, then goes to right back over Patterson. Jake O'Brien over Patterson at right back, and then Keano as a preferred left centre back. It's essentially what's happening.
And which is interesting because I think O'Brien hasn't put hardly a foot wrong in that position, but
in that left centre back position,
yeah, you would like to have lot bigger bodies for set plays. Brentford are a relatively big squad, and we'll come to this here maybe in a moment. But Brentford have had a lot of penalties, funny enough, this year.
I think they've had 7 penalties. I heard this today.
Yeah,
7
6
penalties.
or 7. Blue Skies may have the stats on hand there, but what that'll leave us to is a nice little segue if we bring up Brentford slide on who's starting for them. It's not as easy to read, so I'll say Kelleher's in goal. They have the attacking fullback of Aaron Hickey, who's back and fit. We have Christopher Ayer, who's coming in for Vandenberg, who's the more common centre-half to pair with Nathan Collins, their captain. And this season, their right back has been Michael Coyote, who stays in that spot again. Their midfield changes from time to time, but Matthias Jensen, Yehor Yamaluk, and Vitaly Yanel are taking those midfield 3 spots. And I think what's slightly interesting to me is Keane Lewis-Potter has been a starting fixture for them. He's on the bench today. And Henderson, we all know him from his time at Liverpool, is also on the bench. And they have Vandenberg and Ethan Pinnock and Henry as defensive options. So
they've got a really good bench.
Yeah, quite strong. I mean, Henry hasn't really taken it, but we thought from his time before he had all those injuries, he'd be a huge danger. Mikkel Damsgaard had a really strong start to the season, if I remember correctly, and then it's kind of faded off. But he's coming in for Lewis-Potter, and Kevin Schade and Igor Thiago are going to be the 2 up front there. So
I think Schade with the pace. Yeah, Schade with the pace, though, we've got to be really careful of him because our back line, I mean, if it's on the right side of our defence, Jake O'Brien is quite pacey. So, he may be able to handle him, but up against Mikalenko, he's got to be really careful and be on his game today.
Yeah, and typically, if I remember correctly, and I'm sure they'll switch this around, but Kevin Schade will kind of play the narrow left attacking winger or inside left striker. But I imagine Damsgaard and Schade will move around all over the place finding gaps. But Schade absolutely can be a handful. And as, Ginter's Garage said, yeah, he scored a hat-trick before. He absolutely can. He's one of these surprising players. We don't expect much from him, and all of a sudden, where did that hat-trick come from? Because you don't see him as a hat-trick player, but he can have those moments, Cash, one of our regulars, coming in saying Beto, Armstrong, Roll on the bench. Team is not short of tall players, and that's something I think I just mentioned before. Adam is okay. Would you rather have O'Brien or Patterson at right back? I suppose going forward, Patterson will provide more, but from a set piece perspective, having O'Brien, Tarkovsky.
Well, O'Brien's still good from set pieces.
And, you've got like three beasts in the center half type position, and you've got Barry. That's 4 target.
Pretty sure Jake O'Brien's our tallest player and potentially up there with one of our quickest as well. So yeah.
And we had it was against Forest. Tarkovsky missed a relative sitter where we've had some good set plays even with Dwight McNeil coming back now. So there's some good opportunities, and I think Ayer and Collins are a fair size, but I think we will have the aerial superiority, let's say, against them today.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the set piece quality definitely needs to be up there today. We've got the size, we've got the aerial prowess. We
also have Dwight McNeil starting. So I mean, if he can't do set plays, that's half of his ability is the excellent left foot delivery he's got. So we better take advantage of it if he's starting.
Exactly. Yeah. So we got the left foot of Dwight and we got the right foot of James. So Garner. So yeah, like we just need to take advantage of these set plays and to capitalize on that, because Brentford on the counter attack will definitely hurt us.
Yeah. Just responding to the gas pipe question. Unfortunately, it's a challenge here, me being back in Australia, doing a watch along, especially with a pre and post. It basically wrecks me physically if I try and do all three. So pre and post is what I'm emphasizing. Make sure that we're getting enough content out for you guys. But maybe someone from other channels doing it, but it won't be us today, unfortunately. So I'm trying to keep a tab on the chats as well, Adam. So hopefully this kind of ties in.
Yep.
So it's a response to what Kevin Kraft was saying, that Brentford are no pushovers. So I completely agree there. And Mark Foster's response, I agree, but we are at home. We need to take the bull by the horns. It is a real opportunity today to push on. Yes, we can't underestimate anyone in the Premier League. West Ham may have just got embarrassed taking Wolves for granted. So yes, we understand that. We're not versing Wolves away or anything like that. Brentford are a good squad. They've proven it. They're right next to us in the table, but maybe a point difference, just goal difference. So clearly they're well set up. They have a strong bench today. So we can't. We have to take them.
Yeah, Brentford are 1 point below us.
Right. So they're doing a lot better than people thought the second Thomas Frank left. So credit to them. They're a well-run organization, as we're seeing that they can have new managers and still get results. So and they keep losing key players and still producing and being mid-table. That's an excellent achievement for them as a club. So then you say, okay, they're not a pushover, but as Mark Foster said, we're at home. We should be taking the initiative here, but that doesn't mean you take them for granted. But we have the physical superiority, and the likes of James Garner, as we have on a little thumbnail today, he's been a key figure for us. So the likes of him, Jack Grealish, and I suppose let's call it the defensive wall of 4 or 5, if you want to include Pickford in that. That foundation is key for us, but then it's coming up with consistent creativity going forward. Jack's back, Jack's fit, which is going to be great. As we're saying, we want to see a combination of Dwight McNeil and I'm forgetting our names now. Tyler Diblin basically alternating in the 10 and the right wing position, trying to find avenues to kind of cut through there. And Barry is gaining in confidence as well, Adam.
Yeah, I actually think potentially Grealish can drift into the number 10, but I actually personally say that Dibbling, obviously having very few minutes in the Premier League with Everton at this stage, I think he's going to stay outright, and then he's going to try and, at times he's tried to take a 2-on-1 type deal, and then and he's gotten away with it. He's got really good feet. He does remind me a bit of Jack Grealish, the way he moves his feet around, he plays, he's wearing his low socks and shin pads, so. He's in that realm, but I think I think he just needs to get more minutes under his belt, get familiar with the squad, He's going to have the likes of Jimmy Garner and Tim dropping in behind him. He's going to have O'Brien behind him as well. So defensively, he's got a good backup. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, definitely time for him to shine, get some more minutes under his belt, get familiar with the squad.
Yep.
And Dwight as well, he needs to, have another good performance, more minutes.
Yeah, I do like your comparison. I mean, clearly a little bit different on hold-up play in particular and the ability to draw multiple players. But that ability of him to basically switch foot from right to left in particular and then kind of cut back on that right-hand side and do deliveries. We've seen that a couple times now. So he's quite happy to kind of dance around a couple players, pull them, and then cut back, I suppose, to either the number 10 or one of our more advanced number 8s or 6/8s there in the middle there. He certainly can do that. And that's what I think could be interesting, because Dwight McNeil on the right wing for an entire match, oh my God, is that going to be incredibly frustrating to watch, because we're not going to see Jake O'Brien consistently advanced, or hopefully they give him more feed versus he's in advanced position just to basically pull a player out and then they don't pass to him, which has happened a lot. So if that's the case and you're going to Dwight McNeil cutting in, that entire right side is going to be non-existent. So I think it would be nice to see some alternation between McNeil and Dibling, but I'm sure over 90 minutes we'll see a whole lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we've got.
Actually, can you just highlight Mr. Blue Sky's comment? Whenever Dwight gets a chance on his long range shot, he will need to shoot. I definitely agree with that. We haven't seen that from Dwight since Dyche was in charge. He gave him that freedom to cut inside from the right to his left. Obviously, he can't really do it on the left hand side there, but
I mean, in honesty, you can.
Yeah.
Because when you think about the most important goals Dwight McNeil has scored for us, I think about the goal he scored, maybe it was 55 seconds into the match. It was an early screamer where he cut in from the left side, sort of halfway between basically where James Garner likes to shoot from. And he pinged a goal at Goodison Park in the rain, scored a screamer, and we held on for dear life for basically 90 minutes. I think it was under Dyche even. And that's the kind of scream that I'm thinking back to.
The ones I remember, the screamers I've seen, I think there was 2 offhand. I can remember they were all from the right, cutting in on his left, and he just winds up on his left there from out on the right.
Yeah,
but he hasn't really had that chance.
He's capable of doing both, honestly, and he has scored those where he kind of comes across to his right hand side. But yeah.
He got a nice little assist last week for Jimmy, so that was nice to see.
That was an excellent little and
perfect.
I've been critical of McNeil because I did not see his little recent resurgence coming, but sometimes it's we've talked about players that needed to take on their opportunity. Dwight McNeil, relatively speaking, so the balls by the horns conversation. McNeil has credit to him, has done that. Chad and I have said he's maybe kind of over the edge for us or not the player we want long term. But you know what? He's doing a job for us right now, and credit to him on that. So happy to have him in when we are short of players, and he adds squad depth until we have somebody else. And it could be interesting. Do you think we'll see Armstrong in a winger position? Because outside of, if we don't have a number 10, so who do we think, or do you see him coming, or if we have 3 wingers and one of them's occupying the 10, do you see one of the wingers getting effectively subbed and then you put in Armstrong or roll in the 10 after 65 minutes? Do you see that being more likely?
I think potentially, depending on Jack's feeling, if he's still a little bit sick and not up to speed, potentially McNeil can go on the left. You'll have Harrison Armstrong coming in on the 10 and then Dibling stay out wide. I think that's probably what's likely to happen. But also Roll is very he can play in almost any position. Literally, he can pretty much play as a striker, a winger, a number 10. So if anything happens, any players in this game, injury wise, if Tim, a holding midfielder, he could potentially just slot right in there. But yeah, Harrison, I think, would be, I don't think he's going to be the winger. I think he's going to be your number 10 or holding sort of box-to-box midfielder. I think that's where he sits.
Yeah, and I think your point's valid there, because there's a couple of things that could easily happen if we brush Michael Keane back, potentially basically a Brian slots to centre half, and James Garner, either he's excelling and dominating in that midfield, or if we think we have the luxury of moving him to right back, we would do so, and then bring in either Merlin Roll or Armstrong into that position. But we don't have. Moisey likes having players that he trusts in that central midfield role for defensive purposes. He definitely trusts James Garner. He's proven to trust Tim Burnham, but I haven't seen him Merlin Roll coming into that position early when the game's truly in the balance, when we're trying to hold on to a lead or it's like the game's tied. He's usually a little bit more advanced, where he's not at risk of giving the ball over potentially. Maybe that's just early days for Moisey, but he's very cautious on who he puts in a defensive position, like especially through that midfield. I would like to see it, but I honestly could see Armstrong coming in if we needed someone in the central midfield position before we see Roll. I would like to be wrong, because I think Merlin Roll could do it, but that's just something you kind of know with Moisey, he doesn't want to risk anything defensively.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, but Harrison also hasn't had Premier League minutes for a minute, so
it might be a bit rough.
We'll see how we go.
Welcome back, lad. And
put him in a 0-0 and expecting to do something like
it might be a bit too into the fire.
Yeah.
If you're bringing him back and you don't want to use him, then why did you bring him back a little bit?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we don't have the squad depth for midfield currently at the moment. With just going to go out. Alcaraz, Kieran Gisby-Hole. If we had them all back, we probably wouldn't really need him back. But
so maybe it's a matter of, if Michael Keane happens to get injured early and Eric Burnham's on a yellow, then all of a sudden Garner goes to right back, and you see Merlin in the 10 and Armstrong Merlin in the 6, Armstrong in the 10, something like that. But we've got about 10 minutes before kickoff. We can start doing some predictions of either scorers or what the general result is. For me, Adam, I think this is a match that Everton will win, but it won't be an easy one. Probably a 2-1. I see goals.
Who's your goal scorer?
I see Dwight McNeil actually.
Oh, I think
and Barry. I could see it. Dibling could be.
Someone said McNeil to score a screamer in the top corner today. We were discussing that just before with a screaming left foot.
He did it against Brentford before. We're not versing Brighton, so we can't relive those days. But some people are seeing
1-0 Barry.
It'd be nice to see Beto back on the scoreboard, but I also would like to just see a starting striker with a few goals under his belt, and we have our own Dominic Calvert-Lewin striker resurgence. And if that can be through the likes of Tiana Barry, that would be awesome. So on the fourth pint, thinking Keane, Barry, and Thiago. Yeah, certainly possible. Thiago is, I believe, their top scorer. If you're really getting optimistic, we could go with Harrison Armstrong, maybe certainly has to come off the bench. So maybe he comes on and says, you know what? I dare you to sub me next time.
Yeah, I think I agree with the 1-0 and Tiana Barry's goal to do it, to seal it.
That would be cool.
But defensively, we really got to be careful because they could definitely this game be opened up wide up. So yeah, we got to be careful.
And I see that more like they're quite good at just bodies in the box and scoring from those opportunities, but they're also just quite they can be quite dangerous to the middle on turnovers as well. What I think is interesting is Jack Grealish, the only time he scores, we win, right? So this would be a change in trend for him, because I think he scored against Crystal Palace and he got 1.
Well, 2-1. 2-1.
Yeah, right. No, I'm saying, but yes. But when Grealish scores, we riot, we win. But he's been when he's involved, we've only won so far. So he's been a good omen. We also see Eugene McGeever, Everton 4, Brentford 1. So Grealish, hat-trick, and Barry. I'll take that. Armstrong is at Premier League level. So I really want to see that as well, because I think a lot of us think he's at that point. Maybe tonight will be a jailbreak with Thin Lizzy. Let's see, Barry and Ghana. Oh, yeah. And, I have him in my FPL squad because, you know what? If they get penalties, they score. So hopefully Tarkovsky doesn't decide to get in a boxing match with anyone, or does it, like keep it cool. Keep it less obvious.
Keep it chilled, boys. Keep it chilled.
Yeah, no throwing there into the ground and go, what do you mean I threw him? I didn't touch him. Like, dude, come on, nothing silly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, so lots of discussion about is he Prem ready. The only way we'll find out is if we get minutes and the game is in the balance. And I think him and Garner together would be really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it about time for chicken twisties, Adam, or do you want to give us another couple minutes here for more predictions?
No, I think we're pretty much good there. I'd just like to say, yeah, thanks for everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe. That'd be good. Much appreciated.
Adam,
I don't know.
He's becoming a real podcaster here. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Yeah. Thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. All the good stuff.
All that good stuff. Thanks for the support.
Yeah. Thank you for the continued support. Yeah. We'll be here for post-match. No watch along. Otherwise, I will be a talking zombie, which maybe is interesting, but not as interesting as me being awake while talking. So until next time, ladies and gents, shall we up the toffees?
Up the softies.